Live from, well, you know where. This is your favorite haunted late night show, The Late Night Tapes with Sadako. Now, here's your feared and beloved host, Sadako. Alright, settle down, people. The show hasn't started yet, but I can tell that it's already haunted. There we go. We can now finally proceed to the show peacefully. Our guest tonight has loved appearing on photographs way before Instagram. Well, you can say that she's one of the world's influencers. That's because her presence would surely put a weight on your shoulders. Let us call tonight's guest Thailand's Natrenapa Chan-gam. Natre for short. Okay, we'll have a lot to talk about after a short break. And now we're back with our special guest, Natre. So Natre, in Shudder, you have successfully disturbed Tun, a photographer, and his girlfriend Jane by haunting the photographs they have taken.
Yes, Sadako, you can frame it that way.
What is your motivation then?
Well, if you have watched the movie, you would know that I once loved Tun, yet we kept it a secret until one day I was out of the picture.
That's terrible. I am sorry that it happened to you, Natre. So that's why you chose to haunt them using photographs.
Exactly. But aside from that, I believe that a haunting should be poetic. When I came to haunt, Tun worked as a photographer, and Jane was studying photography. As usual, the profession of the haunted had to have a relevance to the haunting. And to be honest, I might have drawn a little bit of inspiration from your story because, you know, when everyone hears the name Sadako, it unquestionably rings a bell.
Aw, and how did you get that inspiration from my story?
Well, because if you compare Shudder and The Ring, they both operate in a similar premise, to incorporate modern technology into the story. In The Ring, you, Sadako, use two primary technological devices. The television and the telephone both are essential to broadcasting and telecommunication, while in Shudder, I chose to haunt the camera, the photographs, or the general concept of photography as a whole, particularly film photography. Why film photography, you may ask? First of all, it was the most accessible type of photography in 2004, at Shudder's release. Second, it wouldn't be so convincing if Tun practiced digital photography, as digitally photographed pictures are more prone to being faked. A haunting needs to be foolproof. To further emphasize it to the audiences, there is this particular scene where Tun and Jane talk to a publisher of a magazine that featured other haunted photos. Maybe we should roll a bit of that clip.
มันปลอมก็ได้แหละคุณใส่ฟิล์มคุณถ่ายรูปมันก็ออกมาแล้ว
Oh, so the guy's Polaroid comment is said to convince Tun and Jane and the audiences that such a haunting is possible?
Yeah, but that was not the only function the Polaroid comment served in Shudder's story. A Polaroid was used by Jane when she was retracing my steps in the university. A Polaroid was used by Tun when he tried to find me in his apartment. A horror story needs to be snappy, but traditional film photography would take days to develop a photograph. So the Polaroid acted as a quick and convenient device to put a light on the subject.
Wow. So that's how you use the camera to haunt. Stay tuned as we're going to talk about Shudder's bigger picture after the break. Now we're back. So, Natre, you mentioned that a haunting should be poetic.
Yes, Sadako.
So aside from using a camera, are there other poetic elements found in Shudder?
Definitely. But be warned, we're going to talk about sensitive subjects right now, as this concerns my own story. Shudder is about a group of friends who were together since college. But the story centers on Tun because he was my love interest, aside from being the most attractive member of the gang. At first, the audience might think that my primary motivation for haunting Tun and Jane is the car accident at the beginning of Shudder, but this was not the only case. The true motivation, as I have mentioned earlier, was that Tun left me. You can classify it as ghosting because the pain haunted me for life. He left me because of his rascal friends who raped me, and there are two layers of his betrayal. First, he did not defend me. Second, he enabled his friends by taking a photograph of me during the abuse. We have a saying, a picture paints 1,000 words. That picture paints my blood-red hatred caused by Tun's betrayal. I tormented him, first by taking away all of his friends, and then screwed the sanity out of him. Like his camera, he saw what happened, but like a photograph, he remained silent. You see, Sadako, a photograph is generally a glossy piece of paper, but it also has a moment frozen in time. So when Tun took that photo of me while being assaulted, it was immortalized. Like a photograph, I am stuck in time. I am haunted forever. That photo weighs more than a piece of paper, so it should weigh like a ton. Regret should weigh so heavy it makes your neck sore and hunches your back.
Thank you for sharing your story, Natre. That's all we have today, folks. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe, or
we will haunt you tonight.